Hi, let's get started with the pages on the inside of our album. We have the cover done, and I do want to just really quick, someone asked me about my scoreboard, which they are for sale in the store, but I've had this, and you can kind of see how it's starting to, it doesn't really heal itself anymore. It's really starting to crack. I'll tell you what, this is solid. It's not just cover. This is just a cover, a magnetic cover, the pink one. Because this is solid, it really does heal itself. You're not going to wear this out anytime soon. It's solid. It's been molded, so there's no cover like on this magnetic pink one. There's many different layers. So that's what this cover is, and it fits perfectly into your ScorePal board. And this ScorePal board, if you notice, has much deeper grooves and a lot easier to see the markings. So she just asked if I would quickly touch on that, so I did. Okay, we have our cover made. So here's our cover. You remember that's all finished. So now we need to put on the inside, we're going to have the pockets here. You'll have the fold-out waterfalls over here. And if you're doing this for the ABC school, and we're going to still be making the same amount, there will be a variation though on this pocket. So if you're making this for the school, what I did on here for school memories, I did these little side folds right here. And I made those so that you could put wallets. Now for the recipe one, there's going to be a pocket, and then you're going to have a stopper here so that your recipes won't fall out. So I'll show you, I'll let you know in both ways how to do this one. But we will be doing the exact same folds, the exact same pocket. And so let's get started. So on our cuts, I'm going to first give you everything that you need to cut. Okay, you're going to need to cut 7 5.5 by 8.5. So it's going to be 8.5 long, 5.5 wide. You'll need 7 of those. Then you're going to need 7 4.5 by 8.5 pieces. And I will post these again under the, oh great, where you can write out the measurements. I'll add those because this is hard to see where I've scribbled. So you need 7 5.5 by 8.5, 7 4.5 by 8.5, 7 3.5 by 9.5, and 7 3.5 by 8.5. Now, you're going to need those little side flaps, but you will have enough scraps left over that you will be able to cut them. And you'll need to cut 14 if you're going to do your side flaps, 14 of those. And I'll give you the measurements as we're going because you're going to do that last anyway. And so what we're going to do is measure the page exactly so that we have the exact measurement for that, because we're also going to be using those scraps to make the little inside pocket if you would prefer the pocket. So we'll do both ways. So if you've already cut your 5.5 by 8.5 inch pieces, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put them in your scoreboard at the 5.5 inch side. Let me get one that's not scored. And you're going to score it 1/2, 1, and 1.5. And we're going to do 4 together. So 1.5, 1, 1.5. 1.5, 1, no, excuse me, 1/2, 1, 1.5. And there's some fun things that I've added if you're doing it as the cookbook. So you'll see those as we go along. So now the next piece I'm going to do I'm going to grab my 4.5 by 8.5 piece, and you're going to put this on the 4.5-inch side, okay? And you're just going to score it 1/2. One half, 1/2, and 1/2. Okay, now you should have your 9.5 by 3.5. That one goes there. There's 4 of those. And we're going to score these for that pocket. So you'll do the 1/2 along the 9.5-inch side, and then 1/2 on each end. So we have 1/2, 1/2, and 1/2. And I will be using the envelope punch board to make that little notch. Or you can use a half, you know, the circle punch if you want. Or you can just leave it straight across. And then we have one more piece, and this is your 3.5 by 8.5. Okay, and we're going to score this at 1/2 on the 3.5-inch side. Okay, so we have those done. Now you'll have 7, so we'll do 4 on the camera together, and then we can go ahead and finish the rest, and I'll come back. Now let's start with our 5.5-inch pieces. Let me grab my 3/8 of an inch. So if you've noticed, we have kind of funny scoring here, and you're just going to go ahead with your bone folder on each one of those and score them so they're nice and crisp. Now the whole reason for this is I like the extra strength. So out here on this end right here, we're going to put on our score tape. We're going to remove it. Now what this is going to do is it will give you the 1/2-inch gusset, because this is going to get fat. At first it'll be laying nice and flat basically. As we decorate it, you're going to see how it will grow. Now when you flip your page up, and if you've put together waterfalls, this will look very familiar. So this double piece is going to be down, but as you can see, because we have the extra thickness there, I just feel it gives it that extra holding power on the page, because these are pretty packed. So here's our 5.5-inch. Now when you turn it this way with all 3 lines towards you, it doesn't matter, you're going to want to put your adhesive if you're using a score tape. And next we're going to need the 8.5 by 4.5, where you scored it along the 8.5 just at 1/2 inch. Now one thing I want to mention on this one, when you put it up here, now this is going to depend on you. If you want to just set it on top, you're going to notice it's going to come right to there. You're going to want to trim this down 1/8 of an inch. Otherwise you can set it so you have, there you go. So you have this on the back side. Now the nice thing is it's going to be underneath a pocket. But I have found where it's underneath a pocket, it kind of, after a while, it's going to wear on the pocket, because you are putting the other 1/2 inch seam there. So, you know, it's totally up to you. I know some crafters do like their score, when they score, they like to put it behind. And so that's, I'm not going to, because of that reason. It will wear where we're going to put a pocket on top. So on these ones, you're going to want to go ahead and cut them down about 1/8 of an inch. And we'll just go ahead and get all of them cut down. And I put it in backwards, so almost caught myself there. There we go. So I'm going to show you, you're just going to be taking off a tiny bit. But now when we put it on there, there's just a tiny bit where it won't be overhanging. So let me just cut these really quick. Okay. My cutter, I can cut all of them, so I love that. Now, we've got this 1/2 inch gusset right here, so I'm going to put the 3/8 of an inch score tape there. Now I am going to go ahead and just miter. Let me bring this over so I'm not out of camera. I'm just going to take a little bit off that corner, so when I mat the page, it'll be pretty much hidden. Now, once again, I'm going to just remove a little bit of my score tape. This way, when I'm putting it on, if I have to rip it off, it's a lot easier to rip off. It's all right. You don't want to see my hand. So I'm going to now match up my corners. Trying to make sure everything's perfect. And really get that down. Now, because I know that I've pretty much matched it up, now with my thumb, as you can see, I'm just rubbing it down as I go. And then I'm just removing my score tape. And then I have a nice even edge, nice finish. And one thing you'll notice with this, we won't have to use magnets. And well, you really can't use magnets. I did try, and my pages ended up going everywhere because of the magnetic force. They will lay nice. They will lay down, and it'll be very, I mean, it lays flat. There's just, and I'm not completely done. I do need to leave where I see how I put a strip there. I'll go back and put another strip across there when I get this one completely finished. But you can see it's heavy enough, it'll lay flat, and it will grow and get a little bit big. But then I like that look because I can look and see, here's kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, you know, and it's just flip it over, and there's my pictures I'm looking for, or my recipes. So that's why we're not going to worry about using magnets. Now on this first one, we'll see how it lays in the book. Now for this one, if you're going to do the side folds, you should have plenty of scraps left over. And what I did on that one, I cut this 3 3/4 inches long, and then you're going to want to cut it, well, it's going to be, again, personal preference, but you've got an 8.5 inch page here, so we have to cut that in half. And we're going to go, you know, 4 1/4 is half. So you have to also allow that 1/2 inch where we're going to need to score on the end. So you would cut 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. So I'll go ahead and cut one with you. So 4 3/4. And I'm actually going to go ahead and cut this 4 1/2. I do want that overlap. Oh, I cut it too wide. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So see, it's not, you still have, you don't want it coming clear up to there, because when you fold this, it wasn't laying nice. That's why I cut it off. So I would take 2 of these, and you can do this with if you're doing the recipe album this way. Then you're going to score it at the 4 3/4 inch side at 1/2. Then you're going to put your adhesive, and you will just line it up with this edge. And there you will have your flaps. So you will need to cut 14 of those at 4 3/4 long by 3 3/4 wide. So this one will end there, and this one will overlap by 1/4 inch. So if you want more overlap, just make it longer. So if you wanted, or you can even make it, that's the nice thing, you could even make it, let me show you. If you just want one big flap, this isn't wide enough, you could actually make it the full length and it would just open. So see, you've got lots of choices here. Now, for the recipe one though, I do want to add another pocket here. So I'm just going to get one of my, you should have a lot of these scraps left. And these are what we're going to be using for. So I'm going to cut this down to 3. And I'm going to cut it 9 1/2 inches long. And then we're going to have another pocket. I'm just going to have a pocket here. And because I want to put recipe cards in there, but you won't want them to fall out, then we are going to put a strip of the decorator paper after we mat, so that they won't fall out. And I'm just going to go ahead and make one of these pockets for the recipe file. And then you can decide, do you want to add the side flaps, one big flap, or would you like a pocket there? That's where I wanted to leave this album to be a little more versatile, because I myself want to make for all my kids, for their kids, the school albums, school memory albums. And then I also want to make for Christmas some of these recipe albums. And the nice thing is that back pocket can be used for coupons. Okay, so we've got the pocket down. Now we're going to cut the corners on both sides. Right there. Right there. And like I said, don't worry, this does fold up, but we will have a piece of decorator paper there for a stopper. Like I said, I tried magnets in this, and it was not good. Yeah, it's going to fit perfect. So I did remove the score tape, but I'm going to hold it up as I start on one end. Now, like I've shown in my other videos, when the paper isn't laying down exactly how I want it, I make sure it does. I enforce it that it needs to lay down. Sometimes you have to go right inside that pocket maybe and move, encourage it to move over a little bit, and it will. And then you'll just kind of make a new fold. Then you'll have it laying down the way you want it. Then we're just going to fold that right up. So it comes down, and I'll work on that a little bit more. I just need to go in and full with it, which is no problem. And like I said, there'll be a little stopper here so my recipe cards won't fall out. So that's going to come up to the top. Now on the back here I had left it plain. And on the school memories, that's so you could put the first of the year picture there. But when we flip it over, now this is where we want to have our pocket and our flap that comes over. So what I'm going to do with this one, where we scored it on 3 sides, I'm going to grab my punch board and I'm going to set it in at 2 1/4 for this one. And then when I cut the pattern paper, we're going to cut it at like 2 because we have to allow for this 1/2 inch gusset. So 2 1/4. And we're going to need the razor blade. And I hope I didn't end up throwing that in the garbage. Okay, so I just put my blade, my measuring ruler right where it dips. And I hold that tight and round up with my box cutter. Now sometimes you'll notice you'll get a little notch there that you just didn't quite, and if it bugs you, just cut it off. There we go. Now we can fold up the sides. Turn the sound off on my phone. Okay. Now on our pocket page, I always like to measure the width. I want to make sure I'm not going to have any hangover on the sides. That drives me nuts. It looks like I'm going to have just a little tiny bit. So actually I'm just going to put this down, move it a little bit. I'm one of those that just hates when my pockets don't sit correctly on the page. So I'm just going to move that over a little bit. It'll get mixed up. There we go. And that looks like that's going to be a better fit. So see, what I did is I just moved it over, made like a 1/16 little, just a hair more. And then I just take my bone folder, if you don't want that first score mark there, and just flatten it out a little bit because it's not going to show. Nobody will even know you did that. Now on these, now this is where I did use a magnet. So I use the small magnets just to hold that pocket cover down. Now if you don't want to use magnets, you could use a swing tab. You could make a swing tab to be your closure. So let's go ahead and miter those corners. down there. Now, you're going to have a score line here. So make sure you're just sitting a hair above it. You need that to be able to come over. And there you have that pocket. Now we need that top closure, and you should have the piece that we scored at 1/2 inch that was 3.5 by 8.5. And I'll show you too, while we're using the magnets, you have to kind of scatter them back and forth, because they will pick up on each other, because there are so many pages, and it will throw your pages off. Those corners. I'm just turning this around so I can make sure I get at the top, and I am only removing a portion of that paper, and then turning it however is most comfortable for you to work with. Now I want to go ahead and do my corners rounded. So I'm just going to use this. Now you can do this all before, especially with the crocodile, because you can cut 3 sheets at once. You can do one at a time or do them all different. So there is that. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my small magnets. And even though the tape's on here, just like on the book, see, sometimes it comes off. It's just, it's a battle. Use our 1/4 inch. Or your glossy accents works really well. Now for this, I am actually, now on the other one I put it on the inside because I was having some magnetic problem, and it looks like I might do the same thing. Let me put this down. So I just don't want it too close to that edge, and then I don't want it too close to this edge. And it looks like we're going to be too close. So I'm going to actually put the first one right on the inside. No one will even know it's there. It'll be up a little bit higher, but, and that's, don't worry, your pages will lay down flat once you get them matted. You're going to see we need to kind of stagger. So the next page, we're going to just move it over a little bit. If not, they're going to pick up on each other. So, but you can put your magnets anywhere on the book that you want. If you want them out here, I just don't like them that close to the edge. I'm just going to go ahead and put the score tape. And there is our first page. So let's make another one. So we're going to start with a 5-inch piece that we scored 1/2, 1, 1.5. It doesn't matter how you fold them, just start folding them. You kind of need to get them relaxed because they're going to act as your hinges here too. Okay, I'm going to open this up. Put the score tape on. and then on the back side where you just doubled it over, that's where that other adhesive will go. Okay, now we need the 4.5 inch piece that you scored it at 1/2 at the top, and then we cut a little bit of the bottom off. Now, before we start putting the pages down, you can decide. Do you want to decorate them all, or do you want to put your book together and then decorate it with this book? Either way will work. Okay, now we're going to just remove a portion of our score tape. Line up my corners. Now, like I said, I'm really excited for this one with the Times Nouveau from Graphic 45. Well, I am too with the ABC, but I've got a really cute printout to go with this recipe album. Okay, now again, cut your 3/4 inch flaps or 4 3/4 by 3 3/4 wide, or if you want them to way overlap, like I said, or just one that opens. That'll be really cute for the school wallet pictures. But I'm going to go back and we'll make that pocket, which will be 9.5 by 3, and I cut that from the scrap, so you'll want to go ahead and add your pocket. But I'm just going to go on with the construction so that we can get that part done and get it into our book. So then we're going to take our 9.5, the one we've made for the pockets. And I'm going to check this real quick to see if I need to rescore again on this piece. No, looks like that other one I just may have cut a little long. And so now, you know, we made 2. We'll go ahead and make 2 more for on the video. You should be getting the hang of this. When we go to put it down, I'm going to do all of the pages with you. When we add it on to our base page. Okay, let's go ahead and remove this bottom piece. Get our side pieces on there. Oh, you know what? I didn't cut this one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open that back up. And I'm going to stick it to my board. Hold on. Let me get 2 pieces of some score tape coverage. So let's go ahead and let me just recover our score tape. And, you know, I like when I make mistakes with you guys because then you can see that they're fixable. And if you've watched enough of my videos, I make lots of mistakes. So I'm going to have to pull this back. I probably didn't have to put that score tape cover back on, but I just wanted to make sure. And I want to cut it at 2 1/4. It's going to be a little difficult, but and 2 1/4. Sorry about that. Thought that was moving pretty quickly. Okay, ruler. cut our centers out. Clean up that corner a little bit. There we go. Okay. Sometimes I wish we were live so that you could yell at me and say, hey, you forgot to do something. So now we're going to go right up to the corner. Remember, don't go right down to the score line. Leave a little tiny space there. I don't like mine to hang over the edge. I like it to be right on the edge. We're going to be far enough away. Yeah. See, now this is where I'm going to encourage it to go where I want it to go by pushing down. And then it's not hanging over the edge. Next piece, our cover. If you want to go ahead and do your covers, your corners. Something tells me this was the wrong one. Yes, it is. There we go. And our adhesive. Turn that. And I'm going to start over on this side, which is okay. Just won't have my thumb there. So I'll hold my thumb down here while removing. Just lost some of my score tape there. This can be called our mistake page. You got to see all the mistakes on one page. There we go. Okay. Voila. Now our magnets. Remember we talked about having to offset them so they don't catch on the other ones. So this one, I'll just move over a hair. Now another way too is you could make this cover about another 1/2 inch longer if you wanted your magnet more on this page than this page. It's up to you. When you put a mat in, you know, it might take away some of the magnetic hold, but it won't be that bad of a much of a difference. Okay, look that up. And then again, you might not care if yours are clear up there at the corner or at the top. Totally up to you. I guess we would be okay. So, you know, that's personal preference. Tell you what, let's move it and see what happens. That way you can see too that you can move magnets. Now when you're removing score tape, if you're not using the adhesive, there's something you can use for the glue. I've never used it. I just take my finger. Now it's going to take a little bit of your paper, but you know what? That's okay. So I'm going to try this. I want to see exactly where. Maybe I'm just crazy this evening. That's not bad. You know, I think I'm going to go ahead and put it there. But we're still going to have to stagger. Yeah, I think I will. I think that'll be fine. I think we've got enough there to hide under the paper. Looks good to me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and move this one. I have a squeaky chair here. Like I said, it is going to take off some of my paper, but it's not noticeable. I'm going to put this one over to the side a little. Because it will start picking up on your bottom one. And see, that one's a little close. Let's try that. I'll have to tape these down better, but I'm just doing this so I can see where they're going to hit. I think that'll be good. Okay, there's one. There's two. I'll come back and do the pocket there. And you can go ahead and do your side folds. And we'll start now with our 5.5. Now, something that you probably noticed, I did do these corners. So my flap will come up, and putting a pocket on here, I'll have to cut a different one unless I want to go ahead and change all mine to be that way, which it wouldn't look too bad, but I want to put a pocket in there. So we'll go ahead and use another one, and I'll use that for a mat. So let's get our 1/2 inch score marks folded. And on the inside, the adhesive here on the top one. Totally missing the garbage can. On the back side. So I double checked the time, and we made the album cover just in an hour. So making the inside takes about an hour and a half. And so decorating, of course, that's going to be the longest part. But the nice thing is you could make a bunch of these albums, and then you could set them away and start decorating them for Christmas. Or in my case, I have some boutiques coming up, and now that we'll be opening a small store in the town, just a few miles from us, I'm going to want to display them in there for classes, so I'll be making quite a few of these. Okay, remove off corner of score tape so we can line them up. I keep going the wrong direction, but that's okay. Then go ahead and add your flaps. We'll add the pockets. We're going to turn this over, and I won't mess up this time. Okay, we're going to fold them, and then we're going to do the score envelope board. I won't forget. Okay, 2 1/4. Line up between those two dips. I know if I would just lay that a little straighter, I wouldn't get that little bump right there. Well, a little fuzz ball there. Corners have to come off. Okay. Make sure that catches that corner right there. And sticks to your fingers. Oh goodness. Okay. Gonna line it up just so we're not quite on that score line. Get flats. And now this one. And I'm going to go ahead with my last two pieces here. I'm going to just cut those corners. Score tape, we'll cut the corners on this one also, just a little bit. Line up those corners. Sure. That's where I want it. And now for the magnet. Okay, I'm going to try this time, just right on the inside. Now, I went in the middle on the first one, went over to the side, so I'm going to come over to this side just a little bit. And like I said, I only found this out because when I did the first album, my pages were pulling completely to each other. It was driving me crazy, and it was because of the amount of magnets I had used. So I ended up taking them all off and just using one for this pocket, and pretty much solved that problem. Lift up, and it's good. And when you lift it up, there's your pocket. And of course you might have your fold outs. I will have my other pocket in there when we go to decorate it. So let's make another one of our pages. So we'll make one more. You won't really know that I stopped the camera, but I'll stop the camera and I will finish making the rest of my pages. Oh, but we do have the left-hand side that we need to do before I do that. And when we come back, I will start, we'll start putting it together. So one thing with putting it together the beauty of this album is if you're waiting on the paper. So if you've pre-ordered one of the kits, the paper kits that you want to use, or if you've got your own paper, why did I miter that corner? I need to stop talking. Sorry. It'll be fine though. I hope you didn't follow what I did. If you are waiting for the paper, then you can have your album all made, and then the paper will be shipped out to you and you'll be ready to go. Or if you're using a different paper at home, then you know you can just go ahead and get ready to decorate. Okay, this is the one where I cut that wrong, so let me get one of the others. It's the 4.5. I'm just gonna have to score this really quick. And let me just cut 1/8 of an inch off. Now this one I'm going to miter the corners. Okay. Make sure I cut enough off. Yep. So back to what we were saying, you can get your album ready because we actually put this all together before we put it into our book, because we have to use whatever pattern paper you're going to use. You need to line the inside or mat the inside of the book. So we don't want to put this down until the inside of the book is matted, but you can get it all ready to go. So when we open, go ahead and put your flaps or pocket. And the reason I don't want to put my pocket right here is because this will be doing a lot of this, and it'll be a mess. So let's go ahead now on the inside with our pocket. Before I fold, I'm just going to go ahead and get these cut at 2 1/4. And you'll have 3 more of these to keep going. Now, if you do get stuck, you'll be able to just, you know, rewind, go back a little bit and see how the page was made. But I know you don't want to listen to me for 3 more pages. We want to get to the fun part and decorate and put it together. Well, let me put my box cutter where I won't kill myself with it. This other thing, I like using the box cutter. I can put a lot of force on it. My little pink cutter that has the just little skinny blade. I was popping my blade out and I actually broke the top of it. That's why I went to a box cutter. And let me tell you, the box cutter is so much cheaper, and the replacement blades so much cheaper, and you get tons of them. Tons. I have 2 different size box cutters. I love them, and I got them at Lowe's, and so I will use either that big one or I use the smaller one. And again, see all those blades you get? Whereas you only get one on our cute little fancy one. So and I just know when you're cutting chipboard, you want a good heavy-duty cutter, not just a one little tiny blade. get a hold of it. There we go. Okay, just put that one down. Remember to keep away from that score line, edge to edge. And then down you go. Move that corner, and let's just line it up. You know, I always have intentions, there we go, to go the right way, but I don't always make it that way. Now on this one, I'm going to go ahead, well, I'm going to straighten it up just a hair. Noticed I got it over probably just a little too far. And you'll kind of see when you're pushing like that, it'll refold itself a little bit. We're going to just grab another magnet. Now this one I'll go more in the middle. Maybe, there we go. Trying not to get the adhesive off, but it's just coming, so I'm just gonna let it go. Sticks to me. Okay, now I'm gonna go more in the middle. Okay. So where we hit. Looks good. Okay, now you'll be able to go on and continue making your pages, and you need to cut 2 base pages, 8.5 by 8.5. So they're going to be just a perfect 8.5 inch square. And then we are going to have 2 pieces. Let me see if I've already cut those. You're going to need 1 piece that is 4 by 9. And then we will need a piece that is 4.5 by 9.5. So go ahead and cut those. And there's my 4.5. You know, actually, I'm going to have to cut those too. So I will go ahead and cut mine. Cut your 8.5 by 8.5. Cut your 4.5 by 9.5 and 4 by 9. And go ahead and continue putting your pockets together. Like I said, you won't even notice. There'll just be a click here. I'm going to turn the video off, and when I come back, we will put the pockets on here, and we will put our waterfall together. You should have all 7 of those finished. See you in a minute. Okay, so here I am with my 4 by 9 and the 4.5 by 9.5. Now, go ahead and score on the 4.5 by 9.5. You're going to score 1/2 on each end and 1/2 on the bottom. The 4 by 9, you're going to just score 1/2 and 1/2 on each side. The reason for this is we're going to have, I want this so that we can make a big tag that goes inside of there. So also on this one, we're going to need to punch it before we add it to our 8.5 by 8.5 inch sheet. So go ahead, and we're going to use the 2 1/4. One thing I needed to mention, if you want these closer together, you can just punch it like a 3 or play around and see what you like best on some scrap pieces of paper. I like the 2 1/4 on these bigger sheets. And then when we do the decorating and the matting, I'll show you, I usually do a template to make sure I don't cut my pattern paper in the wrong area, but I'll show you how I do that too. So once again, let's do our cutting. I don't know how I lose everything, but I do. And let's go ahead and cut that. I'm just gonna actually, let's trim it with this some more. You know, I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but I'm not one of those that does it the easy way the first time. Sorry. There we go. Okay, I don't like this blade. Going back to the big one. Now, when I have little incidents like that, what I do is I just take out my sanding block that I picked up at Joann's, at Sally's Beauty Supply, and I just sand that off. I don't want to sand it too loud right here under the microphone because I know that doesn't sound great on your end. And then when I make mistakes like that, sometimes you just want to make sure you flatten that out because there will be a little ridge there. So I'm just going to use my bigger box cutter. I know that blade is fairly new. Much better. Guess I'll need to change the blade in my small one. So we're going to do this one first where we just did the 1/2 inches on each side, and we're going to do a little measuring. Now for both of these albums, there is a cover that's going to go over the top, and we're going to cut actually another 8.5 by 8.5 inch piece. I forgot you need 3 of those. 2 of them are our base pages, and the third one is going to be the cover that comes down. And the reason we want the cover for our recipe album, I have something really cute, and I'm just dying to show you. For the recipe album, this little printout that will come in the paper kit is going to be part of your fold over. And then where we made the little straps on the other one, we're going to make the little strap to look like an apron with the bows on the button here. So I think it's going to be really cute. You'll get this printout in the paper kit, and it just kind of, it's adorable. This is actual. This was one actually that my mom had, and she let me photocopy. It was from my great aunt who would be 100 years old next year. And so there's actual writing on here, and I just put it in my scanner, scanned it, and was able to get the cover of it. And I just, isn't it adorable? It's going to make this just so personalized. Okay, so our first one is going to go about there, but we're going to do some measuring here. So let's go ahead and fold up this other piece. So we need to have this one as a stopper on the bottom. And how I measure my pockets, I'm going to put this one down, and then I'm going to just put them down, and I'm going to look at them. I'm going to eyeball it. I'm not measuring. If that drives you crazy, you can measure. I'm going to look at it. Do I like the way it looks? Does it leave enough room at the top? And if that's what I like, I'm just going to put a mark. And that is where my first pocket will go. Okay? And you're going to have these 2. Oh, another thing, if you don't want this to be an all the way through pocket, because actually I want a large photo mat in there, and that's going to be another really cute printout that's going to come, because you're going to have a vintage measuring chart that we're going to put on on this mat that goes through. That's really cute. So it really just adds charm to this album. So I'm just going to take off the sides. Of course, there's nothing else to take off, is there? Now, another thing I just love this for, I'm going to put this on one of my lines. This little mat really has a dual purpose. So there's a dark blue line that goes across there. And that's exactly where I want to line this up. Now I'm going to keep it on that dark blue line and bring it over here, or pick a point. And then I know I need to make sure my top here, because I do get things crooked, is still on that top blue line. So this little mat really does serve a lot of purposes. And this is well worth it. If you're interested, it's in my store at Country Craft Creations. And on these, it only takes, it's a 5-day. You just have to wait 5 days for it. Because they're hard for me to keep in stock. But let me tell you, once you start using it, you're going to just love it. Because on my other Martha Stewart one, I wasn't able to really work on that scoreboard, and it drove me crazy constantly moving it off of my work area because you use it so much when you're making mini albums. This, I leave it here the whole time, and it makes, hey, it's a great mouse pad when I'm not working on my pages, and it's just all around terrific. It's a great writing surface. Okay, so now we did our 3 sides just like a normal pocket. And also, if you're starting on mini albums, this is another great learning. This is how you make pockets for everything, no matter what size. You may change the sizes or give it a little more of a personality, like cutting this part out. But this is how you make pockets for all your mini albums, or the most popular way to make your pockets. Okay, now for this one, we're going to just line it up at the bottom. And I take one side and then I line up my second side. Like I mentioned, I hate for them to hang over. And then if there's any encouraging to do, like I said, you can't be as rough with all papers. And this Cartabella is a little more expensive. You get a 25 pack for $9.25. But for gifts, and if if you're selling, which I do, you want something that is going to look quality and last. But if you're just practicing, yeah, then you don't, it's up to you. You may not want to go with the more expensive cardstock, but this stuff is rough. I mean, it'll handle a lot. Sorry. So see, I'm pushing it with my hand. There we go. And once we mat it, it'll lay even flatter. So let's cut another 8.5 by 8.5 inch piece. But actually, I do have it because it's the base for the other. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch. Now, you can leave it however you like. You might want it to look more like a book cover, and so a book cover really doesn't have the rounded corners because that's going to be sitting. We're going to mat it, and actually we're going to have to just probably take a little bit off the bottom here. And then I'm going to have the back of this, of course, matted with the graphic 45 paper. So you can decide, do you want to round your corners or do you want to leave them square for this one, more like a book? And I'm going to leave it more like a book. That's really cute. So let's go ahead with our adhesive, our corners. Now, you know, I probably should have just taken off a little piece because when you're working with bigger pieces, but I'm comfortable not. So that just depends on you. And see, then you'll have this on the front if you purchase the paper kit. And then when it opens up, look at this huge nice area, and actually, you know, we'll be decorating the inside of that. So I'm gonna put that to the side. Now we're going to need a magnet on this one, and it is a bigger page, and it is going to be, actually it's going to be fuller, so I'm going to go ahead with one of the large magnets. We're just going to take that adhesive off since it wants to come off. We won't fight it. I just think that it has a lot to do with the fact that these are a metal type magnet that the adhesive wants to come off. Now, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down here on my pocket, because I don't want to put it on the flap first. I just don't know where it will hit. But putting it on the pocket, we're good. Now see, it wants to come off. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it to the side. That's good. Okay, so there's that. Now, you might be thinking, what am I going to do with this? It's supposed to be in the book. And it will be. So I'm going to go ahead and, running out of 3/8, I'm going to cover the back with the rest of my 3/8. I'm going to need to get some more, but I'll probably get a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and the rest of this will be lined, and I'm going to go down just like when we made our cover. Now, here's this. What you're going to want to do is decide, okay, now we got to remember too, this is where our orientation is going to start coming into play. Do you want it to flip open? Or, you know, to the back. So make sure you have that, you know, in your mind how you're wanting it. So what you'll do, and we're going to do this together when we get the rest of it done, we need to put down we need to mat this in our pattern paper, because this piece is smaller than this. Now there was something else I wanted to show you too. And another way you can do this is you can have this going this way and open here. Then you'll have pockets to the side. If you want this to open more like a book, so you can open it this way. I'm going to, when I put this in, I'll be going this way because I do want the top flap open. But you don't have to do it that way. You can have it go like a book. And actually, if you have a lefty in the family, you could change it to this way. Totally up to you. That's what's nice about this album. You're going to be able to customize it. Now, we're going to be making the mats also that go inside here. So we'll have plenty of room. We're going to be doing this little right here. This is going to be an adorable. You're going to love this little waterfall we're going to do there. Now over here is where we're going to be adding the other pages and the other 8.5 by 8.5. So that's going to go on this side. This is going to be where the bulk is. So when it closes, see, you're going to have lots of room inside of there. So I'm just going to take this piece now and set it aside for now. I'm just going to set it inside my album. You won't believe what happened. I just filmed putting the pages together and I just hit it with the keyboard on that last one and totally lost it. So I'm going to have to makeshift do this for you. Okay, we're going to start with, you're going to cut, I am so sorry, a base page of 8.5 by 8.5. I can't believe I did that. So you're going to cut another one of 8.5 by 8.5. Let's see on here. And then we're going to turn it over because I've already put my pages on. So I'm going to kind of walk you through this. So what I did, I took my first page, and if you remember, we had put score tape on the back of that flap. So you're going to take the first one here, and you're going to line it up, and you're going to put it down. Okay? Then this is page number 1. Now, if you've made a waterfall, you have this kind of down. Now, I took the next one. Oh, I can't believe I did that. I am so sorry. So I took this next one, and you'll see where this one, you're going to have half inch. Now, this is where your next waterfall will sit. You're going to put your next page butted right up against there. Okay? Because you need to have that half-inch gusset, see, all the way down. That will flip up. Then you'll have 3 1/2 inches. So this is the new page that starts. So this will flip over. You'll have half inch. Now, take the score tape off the back of this one. This is our new page. Line it up. Take your bone folder, make sure you get that down good and tight. Turn it over and you'll see where it ends. Now, there's where it ends. You can kind of see that line, and this is where the new one will start. You're going to butt it up right against there. Line it up with both your edges. Push it down. Okay, then you push back. You'll have that half-inch gusset. Turn it over. Now that's that half inch that we doubled to make this extra strong. Now our new page is going to butt up right there. You can see. Okay. Do the same thing, push it down, and you'll just keep going. Now you're going to butt the next one up until you have your waterfall. Now if anybody is having a problem, please message me. I am so sorry. I hit the keyboard and it came up and I didn't save it. I didn't realize because I was talking too much. So now, let me show you. Your pages are going to look a little crooked, but you have that half inch. Now you're just going to straighten them out. And you'll see how your waterfall has grown and it's going to be even more poofy. That's why we made such a big cover. So there's how it will look. And please don't hesitate to message me, and then I will walk you through it again if I have to make another set of pages. Oh goodness. So one thing I was going to show you, this is when I turned off the camera. See how see how high this started to get? One thing about this one, you're going to have more room. So we have to decide back here. Actually, this bigger one will hold that class picture if you're going to make this for the class. And then you'll have your flap, or you can use this for the 6th grade graduation. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to make this bottom flap. Not hit my keyboard. So we have a lot more room. Now you can leave it just like that if you want and put maybe their 6th grade class picture. I'm going to go ahead. I want the flap underneath there. as soon as I find my ruler. And it's 5, so I'm going to make it 5.5 by 8.5. But then again, I want to cut off that about an 1/8 inch. So we're going to cut it, let's see, 5.5, and then just take that little bit off so it doesn't hit that top. And you might need a new piece of paper for this one. By 8.5. Let me move my pile of waterfalls here. Now we're going to put this at the 5.5 inch side. And I want to score it at 1/2 inch. Now for this one, I'm going to also be making the flaps, so I'll make those with you. And I hope everybody's doing okay with getting the waterfalls put on. My husband made this huge 8-foot desk. You would think I'd have plenty of room not to hit the computer when I'm recording, but that's not the case. Okay, and it looks like I've left that 1/8 inch off, but I'm going to go ahead. I want to round these corners. Let me bring this up a little bit more. Okay, once again, we'll start our score tape just by removing a little bit there. Line that up. Now, for this one, I'm going to make my flaps 4 3/4, and I will round my, let's see what happens. Let's make them, well, they're going to be 4 3/4 high, and I'm going to make them 4.5. So I'm going to cut a paper. Let's go back on those measurements. We're not going to make that 4.5 because we're going to have that overlap. So I'm going to make them each 5 inches long. 5 inches long right here. By 4 3/4. Now, I will figure out the rounding of my corners. Hopefully you didn't go ahead and round your corners like I did. Whoops. Okay, I just have to adjust mine a little bit. That's what I thought. It's 5. Let's make sure I did these both at 4 3/4. I did. So, the mouse is there. Hopefully I won't shut this off again. So now I'm going to go ahead on my 5 inch side. Let's do a 1/2 inch. And a 1/2 inch. So also you can see that from the first one I made, and I was explaining actually how I make my album. When I get a design in my brain, and I don't think this is where I had cut off, and when I get a design, I don't really write it down, I just start making it. So sometimes, like the first one I made is a little bit smaller, and then I realize I need to increase the size a little bit, so that's what I'm doing in the tutorial. And that's why we're having some difference in the sizes from what you saw. So let me go ahead and round this corner and see if I can fix this. And I think that's going to be just fine. So if you accidentally followed me and rounded your corners, I apologize. But what you're going to have to do is on this side that we made that gusset is where I rounded it. So it's going to be rounded, and then I'm going to actually miter it so that it sits. Now in the original album, I didn't bother with magnets on these flaps because the weight of the cover, I'm going to go at an angle, I don't want to hit that keyboard, the weight of, see, they'll open, but the weight of that just being down and then this on top is enough to keep it closed. But you are, yeah, go ahead and use magnets if you want. So as you can see, I had to, I have that funny looking rounded hinge, but we're going to fix that too. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just angle that. Now, if you were smart and didn't quite follow me, then you did great, and you won't have to do this. Okay, and I'm also going to take care of the top. That way it'll just hide a little bit better under our pattern paper. Okay, let me turn this to the side. Match my corners. No, back like I was saying, and then also my album inspirations come from a lot of the craft boutiques that I go to. I'll have people asking for certain things and I've never heard of it or seen it, so I go home and I try to recreate what they're asking for, because a lot of times it sounds like a really great idea if I can just bring it to paper. And that's how, like, this album came to be. I had a couple moms ask if I ever did an album that combined all of the school years, and I thought, you know, that would be handy, because some of the moms that have 6 or 7 children, well, they're not going to put together 6 or 7 albums, but this they can. So that folds up and under, so we're going to have to pull these down. Now these will lay down a lot better after we mat the pages too, the additional weight. So if you're using this for school, again, you have kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and then you'll have your 6th grade graduation. Plenty of room for wallets, small pictures, class pictures. Like I said, this one though, I'm doing as a recipe album, and I'm really excited to do it as a recipe album. I have 3 new daughter-in-laws this year. They're all getting them for Christmas. I figured the recipes can go here, the family recipes, and the pocket will be down here at the bottom, and I'll show you. We made one, and I'll put the rest on. Then we can put, you know, the recipes that we cut out of magazines, or maybe coupons. You could even stick your coupons, because if this is going to sit in the kitchen, then that is a great place. So just to store those coupons under different categories. So there is the construction of that waterfall. Now on the back, again, we're going to have to cover it. Now I am going to use the 1-inch score tape. And I'm going to go all the way around. And don't fret if you don't have 1-inch score tape. Any size will do, or if you're going to use a wet adhesive. Of course, you won't do this until after you mat the inside of your album. And you know, you can actually put this on before you start building your waterfall. It's probably a little bit easier. 1-inch score tape is sometimes a little difficult to work with. Okay, so let me grab our whole album. Moving that mouse. So on the left hand side, and after we mat the inside, we'll have this darling little pocket with a bunch of recipes in there, cards, and then again we'll have this cute little cutout if you buy the paper kit. Just love it. Then on this side, and I am at an angle, I don't, like I said, want to hit that keyboard. This is going to go right here. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways as we're making it. If you want to bring up a closure, then underneath here, there's a couple of ways we can have, and we're not going to do this to the end because this is going to get pretty big. But you do need to be thinking about that, how you want to do your closure. So we'll have this at the top, that'll be cut. Okay. And we can put a magnet right there that this will flip down. Or you can do ribbon, and you'll want to put it, you know, under the back, have it come around to the front, and it can tie. So you can also have a ribbon closure. Or you can just leave it like this. You don't have to necessarily have a cover. You might want to just put a magnet on this first one to keep it down in place. So there is the construction of our cover, which is already uploaded, and here's the construction of all the pages. And as you can see, when it closes, of course it's going to get fatter, and you're going to have things that you're going to add more tags inside, so you're going to have plenty of room inside of there. And this will grow. This will grow on this side, trust me. And there's that portion. Go ahead and take our pages out, and I will get, by the time you see this, of course, it'll be uploaded, and we'll be back. I'll be working on the decorating of the album, and this way, though, you'll have all of that completely put together. So I hope, like I said, I hope I didn't confuse you when it comes to the waterfall being put on, and if I did, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back when we decorate.